What if the life you knew, your family, your honor, your very purpose, was ripped away in an instant? What if the world you fought for crumbled before your eyes, leaving you to fight for nothing but survival? This is the story of Maximus Decimus Meridius, a man who fell from grace and rose from the ashes to become a symbol of vengeance and redemption. It is a tale of power, betrayal, and a thirst for justice that would forever echo through the halls of history. Once, in the heart of the Roman Empire, there was a general whose name was spoken with reverence. His army revered him, his emperor trusted him, and the empire thrived because of him. His name was Maximus Decimus Meridius. Maximus stood at the front lines of countless battles, each one more brutal than the last. He was a man of honor, born to fight for Rome, not for personal glory, but because he believed in the empire. His men would follow him to the ends of the earth, and his heart beat for one thing above all else: his family. He had a wife, a young son, and a home that he dreamed of returning to after the war was done. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. The wind of change swept through the empire the day Emperor Marcus Aurelius, a wise and noble ruler, called Maximus to his side. The emperor, growing frail with age, knew his time was near. He had one final decision to make: the fate of Rome's future. The emperor had no son worthy of the throne, a realization that left him with a heavy heart. His son Commodus was a boy lost in ambition, hunger for power, and ego. He was not a man for the future of Rome. Marcus Aurelius wanted to leave Rome in good hands, and his hands reached out to Maximus. He trusted Maximus as he would trust no other. In a private moment, Marcus revealed his plan to make Maximus his successor. "There is no greater man in Rome," Marcus told him. "You will be the savior of the people." But Maximus, loyal to the empire and disinterested in ruling, refused. His only desire was to return to his farm, to his wife and son. His refusal, though, would be the beginning of his undoing. The emperor's decision, as wise as it seemed, shattered the very foundation of his family. Commodus, jealous and enraged, could not bear the thought of being cast aside. When he learned of his father's decision, he moved swiftly and mercilessly. In the dead of night, with a dagger in his heart, he murdered Marcus Aurelius. He stood over his father's body, whispering promises of vengeance for the empire that would soon fall into his hands. Commodus did not simply stop with his father's death. In his rage, he ordered the death of Maximus. The general was captured by soldiers, and the emperor's orders were clear: Maximus must die. But even in the face of death, Maximus fought, escaping the clutches of execution, only to find his world completely destroyed. When he returned to his home, the farm he had longed for in his dreams, he found nothing but ashes. His wife and son had been brutally murdered, their bodies left to rot in the soil he had once tended to with love. The world Maximus had fought for was no more. Driven by fury, Maximus's thirst for vengeance burned hotter than any fire he had ever known. But vengeance would not come easily, for Maximus was taken as a slave. He was sold to a man named Proximo, a former gladiator who ran an arena where men fought to the death for the entertainment of the masses. Now Maximus, once a general of Rome, would become nothing more than a weapon in a bloody game, a slave forced to fight for survival. It was here, in the blood-soaked sand of the gladiatorial arena, that Maximus would find his new purpose. His strength, honed from years of battle, was unmatched. His mind, sharp with military strategy, made him a fearsome opponent. Soon he became the most celebrated gladiator in the empire. His fights became legend, his name whispered in awe. But Maximus was not fighting for glory. He fought for one thing alone: revenge. He fought to reach Commodus, the man who had killed his family, destroyed his life, and cast him into the depths of despair. Every victory in the arena, every drop of blood spilled, was another step closer to the emperor's throne. But Maximus's rise to power would not be easy. Commodus, now seated as the emperor of Rome, was a man who reveled in the chaos he had caused. He was insecure, haunted by his own father's rejection, and craved the approval of the Roman people, whose love he could never truly win. His rule was built on lies, manipulation, and cruelty. He surrounded himself with sycophants who feared his wrath, but none dared to challenge him. Then there was Lucilla, Commodus's sister, a woman of grace and wisdom who knew the true depth of her brother's madness. Once she had known Maximus as a loyal general, a man of integrity. Though her loyalty to her family ran deep, she too saw that Commodus was unfit to rule. She had tried to break free from the chains of her brother's reign, but her efforts had been in vain. When she saw Maximus again, in the arena, she knew the time had come for Rome to be saved. It was through Lucilla that Maximus was introduced to a plot to overthrow Commodus. The gladiator, who had once been a man of simple honor, was now Rome's last hope. But the journey was fraught with danger. Commodus, though a coward in his heart, was no fool. He understood that Maximus was a threat, and he would stop at nothing to ensure that the gladiator never reached him. The final confrontation between Maximus and Commodus was inevitable, but it would not come easily. The gladiator was forced to fight in one final, fateful contest in the Colosseum, an arena where blood had been spilled for centuries, and where Maximus's own blood would be spilled in the name of justice. As Maximus entered the arena, the deafening roar of the crowd filled the air. They had come to see the gladiator who had captured their hearts, to watch as he fought for his freedom. But for Maximus, the fight was no longer about survival. It was about something much greater. He was fighting for the soul of Rome, for the memory of his wife and son, for the justice that had long been denied. The fight between Maximus and Commodus was brutal. The emperor, weakened by his own madness and self-obsession, could not match the strength and skill of the general. But Commodus had a weapon that Maximus could not predict: his own treachery. Commodus had a dagger hidden in his hand, and he planned to strike down Maximus in the chaos of the arena. In the end, it was not the strength of weapons that won the battle, it was the strength of spirit. Maximus, even in his dying moments, managed to strike down the emperor. His final act was one of justice, but also of self-sacrifice. He knew that his death was inevitable, but by taking Commodus with him, he restored the honor that Rome had lost. As Maximus fell, the emperor lay dead, and the Colosseum fell silent. For a moment, it seemed as though the empire itself had stopped, and all that was left was the memory of a man who had once fought for more than just power. Maximus was a man who fought for love, for his family, and for the greater good of Rome. His journey was not just one of revenge, but one of redemption, a redemption that would resonate through history. Before Maximus breathed his final breath, he whispered a single word: strength. It was not a word of victory, but a word of legacy. He had restored the ideals that Rome once stood for. He had brought honor back to the empire. His spirit, though broken in body, would live on in the hearts of those who remembered him. And so, as the dust settled and the empire moved forward, the legend of Maximus Decimus Meridius, gladiator, general, and hero, would never fade. For in the end, it was not the empire that defined him, but the honor and courage he carried to his final moments.